What's up? It's Jeff, and I'm here with the amazing Mark Levine, who just finished up an awesome chat. And I'm actually teasing Rae right now because typically she gets to announce and introduce me on the podcast, so I'm flipping it. So I'm here with the somewhat tolerable Rae Hughart.
Okay,
Is that
I introduced you better than that on the podcast. And for those of you listening, if you have a specific way you'd like to describe Jeff Gargas, you should direct message me on some platform
What was the one
somewhere.
you did? The last two ones we did, it was like insightful or something. I don't know. It was
You know what?
ridiculous.
I don't have control over what the people are saying, and
That's
you're lucky
true.
because the mean comments that people are using to describe you, I don't share on the podcast.
Oh, lots of mean comments, huh? From Mark, most likely.
No.
Anyway, Rae, we're not talking about you and your podcast, okay? We're talking about Mark right now and the awesome master chat that we just got off of. I thought it was great. People were super engaged. Lots of really just good conversations going off to the side, stuff like that. Mark, how you feeling like right now, like coming out of it after the firestorm of typing and everything with everybody?
It was almost like doing a presentation, and but everybody was talking and everybody was learning at the same time. So I thought it was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
well, you did wonderful facilitating it because you were everywhere. I was in so many separate conversations that went so deep, and you just seemed to be all over the place interacting with people, which I love to see when we get amazing hosts for these chats.
Well, yeah, I mean, their responses, I couldn't let them go. I wanted to respond to them, and I included a lot more than the questions. I included some links and that.
I saw that. I love that.
And I was a little bit fearful going into this of the background knowledge of self-regulation, because it's really not out there as much as a typical topic that we might talk about on Mastery Chat. Mm-hmm. But man, the thinking behind it, and there were a lot of patterns as you typically see in the chats, and you typically talk about of answers of thinking, but it was. If we think of the chat on a DOK level, we were fours across the board. The conversations and the thinking and the ideas and asking for help and the teaching learning going on, back and forth between everybody. I was pretty thrilled.
Awesome.
I loved that you just pulled in Webb's DOK, because there was a lot of rich discussion around a lot of those best practices leading to better student self-regulation. So that will just be the tip of the iceberg, and all the other conversations that happened with that best practice really allowing students to have voice in this process. So super cool.
Mark, were there any particular tweets that's really or answers that really stood out to you that you can think of right now?
Yeah, I really love that a majority of the people recognize that there's a need for a foundation, that you can't just throw the idea of self-regulated learners at the kids. And the word confidence came up very often. And I have to say that warmed my heart. And to me, that was the showing piece that the participants really understood how to build such a thing as self-regulation. Because students that are not self-confident, in fact, I'm writing a book right now on students' academic self-esteem. It's hard for me to say for some reason tonight, because without it, students don't believe in themselves. They just sit there. They do the least as far as doing school, and having that as a rich foundation. And slowing down and being patient and stopping and self-reflecting as adults is another thing that came up and was a common pattern that I really appreciated. there were very few one-word answers from tonight. So
I think there were no one word. There were 50 and 60 word answers. There was a lot of conversation going on.
Yeah, in fact, I joked a week or two ago about this with you guys on the outside, but boy, to collect these tweets and put that together as a book would be an incredible starting point for educators, because it's almost like their perspective of self-regulation. It's almost like the first half of a book of what people think, what people need, and then leading to leading to specific ideas as far as approach.
And I think that leads to a really successful chat when you're able to ask questions that requires deeper thinking and allows teachers to not just say a one-word response, but then have really deep conversations around this topic. I saw a variety of different background knowledge, and I think that added to the value, because the teachers that weren't sure what it is were able to take away a lot, and the teachers that knew what that was and are practicing in their classroom, there was so many resources shared. So, you joke about putting all these tweets in a book, but in reality, I mean, that is why we need more educators on Twitter having these conversations, because if we don't put it in a book, then guess what? All of the teachers that would have read that book just missed an amazing chat. So as we can continue to encourage our colleagues to kind of push themselves to get on Twitter and start even just lurking and reading the comments, I think there's so much value there.
Yeah. And I love, this was one of the chats, we get them every now and then, love where one of the most common things I see is, oh man, that's amazing. Can you tell me more? And then this thread starts of, I love what you just said, what your answer was. I'm not quite there. Tell me more. And then it's just back and forth. And let me share this link. Let me share this infographic or this image. And there was a lot of that. I can't bring any particular one to my head right now, which I'm mad at myself for not snapping more pictures of stuff. But a lot of that going on. Mark, you shared a bunch of stuff yourself, Mark, that you had ready to roll with there was a couple different graphics and things like that. But there was a lot of that going on, and that's one of the ways that I really like to gauge sort of that conversation. Like Rae says, how in depth the conversation's going. When you see a lot of that, oh, tell me more stuff, like that's really cool, really exciting from my end to see that happening. So.
I'm hoping the two of you, and I'm certainly hoping that the participants felt like the hour was an hour of learning and
absolutely
and inspiration.
I felt like the hour was only 30 minutes because it was so it's flying. But that's another gauge meter that I use for the chat. Like when it feels like it flew by really fast, I'm like, wow, okay, we're already on question 5. It's 8:05. No, wait, nope, never mind. It's 8:40. It's just this crazy speed. And that happens when you're getting engaged in these other little conversations. Like Rae was talking about, you get those little side shoots where you end up 6 conversations deep, and then you're all, that's right, I'm also in this chat that I'm supposed to be talking in and stuff. So yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, it was easily, a very, very engaging topic for everyone, because there was a lot of that going on. So Rae, anything really particular stand out? You were hoping to find and see a lot of actionable stuff and that tactical stuff. Did you get that? Did you feel or do you need to go back? I mean,
there was a really good variety of tactical approaches to incorporating self-regulation more purposefully in the classroom. And I actually liked that. To some sense, some of the graphics, they were so simple, but if I needed something to just visualize this whole process and start chewing on the idea, the graphics were outstanding. I mean, I couldn't even tell you how many. There were so many of them, all kind of with different approaches, but all saying the same thing. And I liked that it not only allowed me to see a variety in how these components all fit together, but it kind of, I actually took a screenshot of 2 or 3 of them, because I'm like, I just want to think through the artistic design of then how this is going to impact students, and then how I can implement it more purposefully. So that was on the one end. On the other extreme, we started talking about, and Mark, I know you tweeted about it, but frameworks, methods that we can actually change our teaching with. And I think that those 2 extremes are so nice, because one allows for a teacher who's not quite ready but is interested in the topic to develop the idea in themselves, and then start hunting for kind of the first step resources. And the other side was, hey, if you really believe this, why are you teaching the way you are? Here are, the grid method. Here's a framework that allows for you to ensure that this is a consistent part of your classroom. Jeff, from the very beginning, my biggest pet peeve, I just wrote a blog about this, I think, my biggest pet peeve is one-hit wonder lessons, right? And so you can do self-regulation and dabble with it on an easy Friday lesson plan. Or if you really believe in it, really see the value, you can completely change your thinking and make it a daily practice for students. And I think that was valuable to highlight in this chat for the teachers that are like Mark, right? The teachers that really believe that self-regulation is at the core of having our students find success. We need to change our practice to mirror that. And that's important to me. So I blabbed on, but that's what I really liked. And that was something I really connected to.
Awesome. Mark, anything that surprised you going into this? I mean, you kind of said like you were happy with the level of understanding that was already there and stuff, but anything that jumped out that maybe took you by surprise that you hadn't thought about before? Someone maybe framed something in a way that you had never really looked at it before, or anything like that tonight?
There were a couple of people, I apologize, I can't think of their names, but they were in upper education, either upper level education or in higher administration and so forth. And in their ability to connect on the student level and on the adult and the professional level was something that I number one, I didn't anticipate any conversation about that. And it's something that, when we're in the trenches, when we're with the kids every day, we get feedback immediately on our practices. And an upper administrator such as the one that I'm thinking of, I don't think they get that. I think they're so far removed from the kids, and I think in a lot of ways they're so far removed from the educators because they're within the politics and so forth. But to see these people recognize the importance of a self-regulated being, and Ray, you called it a core. I think, or you used the term core. I think it's the core as it's a foundation. I think what we need to do is if we're going to use this with integrity and some validity that we're going to expect outcomes. I think we really need to make this our heart, and that's what made me go to the Grid Method site and start to feel out the fit, if you will. And it was such an immediate fit. That's why I included that tweet, because the Grid Method is, in my mind, a way of learning progressions, and it's self-directed in a lot of ways, or can be used as a self-directed learning progression. Same way that I use rubrics across, where the students get it, and you always start at number 1 and then you work your way towards number 4. I love and I was surprised at the diversity, Jeff, of the answers and of the thinking.
Very cool. I'm loving it. It was good stuff. I appreciate the shout out to the Grid Method. We obviously agree with that. So that's good. So do you utilize the Grid Method in your classroom, Mark, or just piece of it, or how are you?
Never heard of it. I finally joined that group.
I could not believe when I saw you. I'm like, how was he not in here already?
I know. I was like, Mark's not in the private Facebook group. Whatever. Thank God that you're in there now.
Yeah.
Do I use? How can I put this? I'm a theorist. That's really the best way to explain me. My classrooms have always been a laboratory. I'm always learning. There isn't a moment in my waking life that I'm not learning something. and aware of something. So the reality is I've had my own fashion of using a grid method, as you guys are calling, within my workshop model for probably the past 12 years.
Okay.
So to answer your question, I'm integrating the grid method into my methodology.
Sounds good to me. It's a good methodology. Awesome. Any last words on tonight's chat that you want to get out? Either one of you. That was a good chat.
I'm just blown away and appreciative. I appreciate the opportunity. I just I feel really it's kind of nice that it turned out so well, and it kind of validates what my thinking is, and it's nice to not feel so alone. And it's always great to be with people that can think at a high level and that I can learn from. So I really appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome.
I thought the chat was great, Mark. I want to celebrate you for hosting Mastery Chat.
Yes.
You did wonderful job, and you brought a really interesting topic. And whether you are listening and using the grid method or just looking at the graphic, because the graphic had so much in it as well, any way that you as an educator can walk away from this chat, walk away from this live video and say, all right, how am I going to more purposely reach my students and allow them to have some hand in self-regulating their learning, you have won, in my opinion. So my challenge would be find some way to purposefully incorporate something from today's chat, because that will only increase the success of our kids. So, very cool. Good job, Mark.
Love it. Next week's chat will be, of course, be back next Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern time over on Twitter. And looks like we got Neil Gupta.
All right, Neil.
Yeah, our friend Neil, at Dr. Neil Gupta. He's going to be talking about instructional leadership and coaching. So that's one of our admin folks that's in our mastery chat. So this is going to be, I love the different angle coming from the admin side. And Neil's awesome. We're actually going down there next week. Chad and I are going to get to spend a day with Neil. I know Ray's super jealous right now, but we're going down next week. Actually, I didn't even realize it was the same day. So on Thursday we're going down, So we're gonna see him that morning, get him all jazzed up and ready to go for Mastery Chat. So that's gonna be a good time. So excited about that. So make sure you join us next week. We'll be there. Mark will be in the comments next week, I'm sure, and over on Twitter and stuff. So Mark, really appreciate you, as we already said. And like Ray said, we applaud you. Like, awesome topic, great chat. I didn't mention, because I usually hold us to a high, like I wait a little bit, but we were trending. We were popping in and out of the top 20 trends on Twitter for the first 45 minutes or so of the chat. So it was a cruising chat. So that's awesome. So cool. Excited about that. Appreciate everyone who's watching, everyone who's in on the chat, and everyone who just connects with us on a daily basis, weekly basis, whenever you do, and all the amazing work all of you do every day. And Ray, I also appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, Jeff.
Yeah. So we will see you all next week over on Twitter at the Master Chat. Oh, if you're not already into it, if you're on Twitter, we do have our Fall in Love with Teaching Again challenge. It's our Teach Better challenge for the month going on. So make sure you follow #TeachBetter to get that. Today was day 1, and the question was, who inspired you to get an education? What, Ray? What do you got?
No, I was saying day 1.
You were
but
giving me the
question
one.
is, I know it was day 1, but now I realize I haven't read any of the tweets from today, so I'm going on Twitter right now.
I just had another one come through that that was awesome. I can't remember what it was right now, but I like saw it. I'm like, oh, it's great. Where's it? Hold on, I'm gonna find it. Right, there it is. I see the pink. Look for the big pink pictures. I don't know what it was. I lost it. Anyway, there's been some good ones. So go follow the hashtag, find it. It's been really good. Day 2 is tomorrow. I can't remember what day 2's question is, but it'll be good. So make sure you do that. Make sure you follow Mark and give him some love for having an awesome chat tonight. So we'll see you all next week for Mastery Chat, and over in Twitter and on Instagram and wherever else that we run into you as well. Have a good night.
Thanks.